Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Between silence and spotlight, Jungkook and Taehyung's silent symphony. They never say it out loud, but the world can hear it. Behind the silk curtains of the stage, amidst the roar of cheers and the flash of camera flashes, there is a soft vibration that cannot be silenced, a secret bond between two souls named Jungkook and Taehyung. It is not a loud love, nor is it an ordinary friendship. It is a kind of invisible pull, like a magnet that never goes wrong. Jungkook, the Silent Night, is known as a young man who often stays silent to incoming messages and calls that he does not answer. But Taehyung is the dusk that he answers without hesitation. Only to Taehyung he melts his walls. When the night is shivering and the world feels foreign, he types softly, "You are the best." Or deeper, "I love you." There is no reason, no special moment, just an impulse that is too full to keep to himself. In a fast-paced world, the two of them walk slowly towards each other. When Jungkook is trapped in the rut and the clamor of the spotlight, when his body is tired from training and his mind is plagued by the approaching military enlistment, still, his fingers search for one screen, Taehyung. Video calls in the early hours of the morning, laughter that fills the empty space, a presence that is not always physical but always felt. Jean, the silent observer, once said with a smile, "Sometimes they make me feel like a cameo in their drama." Jungkook is like a stray cat, wild, independent, and untouched. But Taehyung somehow always knows the way back to his heart. It's as if the universe is conspiring. When Taehyung watches a Bruno Mars concert in Seoul and Jungkook is in Los Angeles, both of them, without speaking, wear the same shirt. Coincidence? Or an inner echo greeting each other from across the world? There are things that cannot be explained, only felt. Like the way Taehyung smiles every time the name Jungkook appears on the screen. Like the way Jungkook adjusts his shirt collar in the middle of a crowd, unaware that the camera is rolling. No script. No rehearsal. Just two people dancing on the same frequency, even though the world is too noisy to understand. In the crowd, Jungkook often drifts in silence. But when Taehyung comes, he changes. Like the moon that finds its light, or the night that is suddenly embraced by the stars. Jean once chuckled, saying, "Look at him. Suddenly alive." For some people, this story may be just a fan theory. But for those who see with their hearts, this is a true story that doesn't need recognition to live. No labels, no spotlight. Just one look, one call, one laugh in between pauses. Because the truest love doesn't always make a sound. Sometimes it's just there, like breath, like a pulse, like a secret whisper between two hearts that choose to be silent, but know each other. When time can no longer hide longing. When day turns to night and the calendar continues to fold time, there is something that remains, a feeling that never ends. Jungkook is now on the verge of devotion, standing in front of the gate of time that separates him from the world he knows. And in his heart, there is only one unspoken worry: who will accompany her when I am gone? Taehyung, like the gentle rain in autumn, never forces words. But every step, every gesture seems to say, "I am still here." He does not shed tears, does not write poetry, because Taehyung knows their story is too sacred to be framed in ordinary sentences. And when the day of separation comes, there is no dramatic hug, no sweet statement on social media. But the camera captures something more honest, a look that only lasts 3 seconds, but 1,000 words seem to be expressed. Jungkook, with steady steps, looks back once. In the distance, Taehyung stands still, holding something in his hand, an old photo of the two of them, crumpled but full of meaning. They don't need many words. Because in their silence, the world can read the longing that has not been discussed. Time passes. The world continues to turn. Taehyung returns to the stage, wearing bright colors that cannot hide the small silence behind his smile. The fans cheer, but in his eyes there is always a shadow, someone who usually stands one step behind, or sits silently looking at him from behind the stage. Sometimes, when the moon is too bright and the night is too quiet, Taehyung takes his guitar. He sits alone in the studio, playing a tune that only one person knows the meaning of. He never released the song. He kept it like a secret that was too beautiful to share. Across the place, in an orderly and disciplined world, Jungkook stares at his small screen. There is no sound, only a short video of Taehyung playing the guitar. He stares at it for a long time, then smiles slightly and whispers, "I hear you, Tae." They are not together, but they are also never truly apart. Because true love does not need presents. It only needs the belief that at the end of every prayer, there is a name that is always called in silence. And in that silence they remain united, two souls who walk in different worlds, but still read the same sky, still listen to the same song, and still believe that true love does not have to be announced to stay alive. Wordless reunion, a meeting that brings back breath. Spring came like an old promise that was finally fulfilled. Flowers bloomed on the streets of Seoul, and the wind carried the cool scent of wet earth, like the first air after a long rain. And among the thousands of blooming petals, two pairs of eyes finally met again. Jungkook had returned. Not with a big party, not with the media crowd. Just a hat, a mask covering half of his face, and steps that tried to be calm. But his heart was beating uncontrollably. Not because of the public, not because of the cameras, but because he knew someone was waiting for him. Taehyung stood under the same tree as 2 years ago, where they had taken a secret photo after practice. Time seemed to freeze there. There was no hello. There was no hasty hug. Just a long gaze, like rereading a much-loved book. "It's been a long time," Taehyung finally murmured, his voice almost like the wind. Jungkook nodded slowly. "But I never felt far away." In a world that was constantly moving, they chose silence to understand each other. There was no "I miss you," because longing had been part of their breath all this time. There was no "I wait," because Taehyung never left his place. He remained the home that Jungkook always knew the way to. That day they walked along the narrow path they used to walk after practice. There were no cameras. There was no manager. Just two people who had returned to being who they used to be, two young people who fell in love with each other in a quiet way. They sat down on a wooden bench in the park. Jungkook took his earphones from his jacket pocket, handed them to him without saying a word. Taehyung smiled and put them on. The first song that played was an old song, the song they both listened to when the rain first fell in autumn 5 years ago. "Still like this song?" Jungkook asked, his eyes never leaving the sky. "I never stopped," Taehyung answered softly. They sat side by side, shoulders lightly touching, listening to the same song but holding different meanings. The world passed by, people passed by, but time seemed to choose to stand still as the two hearts reunited. Night fell slowly. The streetlights began to light up. But neither of them wanted to move. Because for them that night wasn't just a night. It was a silent celebration of a love that never asked for a stage, never asked for the spotlight, but never lost to distance and time. Before they left, Taehyung took something from inside his coat, a thin piece of cloth folded neatly. Jungkook opened it slowly. Inside, a shirt, yes, the shirt they used to wear without an appointment when they were apart. But this time there was only one. And on the inside of the collar it was handwritten. "For those of us who never really lost." That night there was no goodbye hug. Just slow, rhythmic steps, walking down the same path, like before, like always. 3 chapters have passed, but this story has not yet reached its peak. So far, all that is painted is a shadow, the silhouette of two hearts chasing each other in silence. Not through grand confessions or exaggerated gestures, but through small things that can only be understood by two souls who know each other too well. From short messages that are never replied to except from one name, to late-night video calls that bridge thousands of kilometers, all are silent notes of a love that never has a name, but is always present. They never said, "I am yours." But the world knows when one smiles, the other calms down. When one sinks, the other becomes a silent buoy. And when one returns from a long exile called time, the other is already standing in the same place, as if never moving an inch from the promise that was never said. Jungkook and Taehyung are not trying to fight the world. They are just creating their own little world, a world that does not require anyone's recognition, but is enough with one look, one step in rhythm, and one song that only they know the tune to. Because in their story, love is not something that needs to be explained. It is simply felt, in between simple laughter, in comfortable silence, and in every moment when each other's presence feels like a long-awaited home. And now the story continues. Not with a big bang, but with a soft twang like a guitar string plucked at night, slow, sincere, and eternal.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.